the topic, what we are going to start today is about like, how test is designed, for effective test case writing. And, in my consultation, in my, test consulting services, I saw like, uh, many people are writing test cases. Many people are writing test automation scripts, but they are not designing the test cases, right? So that's the gap, which I saw in the recent time of, software testing space. Now, so, what is the need of, the test design? So, uh, the need for test designers, just as code is designed and developed, test cases too must be designed and then written, right? Exhaustive testing of a non-trivial system is impractical. How much ever simple requirement it is, testing completely is very difficult. All right. So we need test design to derive optimal test suite, which is reasonable in size, which will um, find many defects as possible. So randomly selecting or writing test cases does not indicate the effectiveness of software testing. And writing large number of test cases does not mean that many errors in the system will be detected. So what is the need of test design is, I would say, we need to do test design. We need to design the test. We need to design the test to derive an optimal, or I would say, to derive minimum number of test cases that will find many defects as possible. Right. So we need to design the test to derive a minimum number of test cases that will find many defects as possible. So that is the reason of, designing the test cases. So the types of test design techniques could be, two major type of, black box test design techniques, or it could be white box test design technique. And the goal for today's program is going to be to walk you through on the black box testing techniques. So what is black box testing? Before we get into the techniques, what is black box testing? So the black box testing is also called as the behavioral testing or specification based testing. Correct. So the techniques for the black box testing would be equivalence class partitioning, boundary value analysis, and state transition testing, decision table testing, and use case testing. These are all the black box testing techniques. So and so on. Similarly, we have white box testing techniques. So what is white box testing? White box testing is nothing but testing the code. And for doing white box testing, there are a lot of techniques which are available, and very important or the popularly known techniques are statement coverage, decision coverage, condition coverage, function coverage, cyclomatic complexity, and so on. So our goal is not going to be with the white box testing, since we are majorly playing around like the black box testing, and we are going to focus on the black box testing part as per the agenda, and so on. We also have experience based testing. What is experience based testing? Like based on your previous experience, you test you test the application, right? And so there are certain set of techniques which are involved, and some of the examples are error guessing, exploratory testing, and checklist based testing. So these are all the techniques of experience based techniques, right? Right. So I'll come back to this slide later. Now, what is equivalence class partitioning? So what is ECP? What would you think, team? What would you say as a definition for equivalence class partitioning? Can some of you please send a chat message? What do you think about ECP? Because 95% of the people, to be precise, 93% of people are from, testing team. So what is the definition that you would say for equivalence class partitioning? Can someone please tell me some definition about, ECP, what you think? Or if you don't have any idea, or if you're not getting any, if you're not getting any definition about it, please just type. No idea. That's fine. Just wanted to ensure that all of you are listening to me. That's also one of the things that I have to do. Oh, that's great. All right, that's great. That's wonderful. I appreciate your definitions and to add cases into same paths. All right. All right, team. Wonderful. And now, so I would say, as a definition for equivalence class partitioning would be, what is test design, right? So, what is ECP? The equivalence class partitioning. A large number of possibilities. I'm sorry about the typo errors. A large number of possibilities will be, divided into different classes, right? So, and each class should have a minimum one test data, right? And I would also say what is test design and what is the use of test design is to derive the best test data, right? So that is also one of the reason why we have to design the test, right? Now, coming back to ECP, equivalence class partitioning is nothing but, a large set of possibilities will be divided into different classes, and each class should minimum have, one test data. So that's the rule. That's the thumb rule, right? Now, now let's say I have a salary field here. Let's assume that I have salary text box, right? And this salary text box, should accept $10,000 to $15,000. Say, for example, this should accept 10,000 to 15,000. So that's the requirement. Now, team, tell me how many classes that you have to derive. What do you think? How many classes are needed to test that requirement? Three, five. All right, and that's great. So what are they? Now, if you look at it, so what are they? The class one, I would say lesser than, correct? 10,000, and I would say between 10,000 to 15,000, and I would say greater than 15,000. Right? So three classes, and now the thumb rule is like, each class should have a minimum one test data, correct? So I would say lesser than 10,000, I would give any random number, right? And now let's say, for example, I would say 6,777. All right. So that's one test data that I would like to test the application. And between 10,000 to 15,000, I would say, say for example, 12,500. And greater than 15,000. So let's say I would say 17,000 of 800. All right. So that's a team. So we have created a class. Now every class will have minimum one test data, and maximum it can have any number of test data based on the complexity of the requirement or the importance of the requirement, or based on the objective of a requirement, right? And so this is what about ECP, right? And it can further be classified. Say for example, now I have another requirement here. The salary field should be should be text box and should accept 10,000 to 15,000, and this should accept only numbers, right? Should accept only the numbers. So in that case, I would need four classes, right? And I would say, other formats. Say, for example, I have created other formats of class. And now here, what are the formats I need to test for alphanumeric? Okay. And special characters. And let's say alphabets. So, okay, only three test data, on the other formats that I have found out, that I have identified, right? So now, how many test cases, that we have to write to test this particular, requirement? At this point, based on the ECP, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now to test this requirement, we need to write 6 different test cases, right? So so that is what about ECP. Now coming back to BVA. So what is BVA? BVA is boundary value analysis, right? BVA is about boundary value analysis. So, team, what do you think about the definition for boundary value analysis? My voice is not audible.
No, Sarona, we are able to hear. I think some people will have connection issues, or it could be some problem with the system.
Okay,
And
okay.
because a lot of people are responding, so some may have some issues with their system or connections.
Yeah, correct. I saw like, there are, few people said voice is not audible. So, all right. So team, please check your internet connection, or just rejoin is what they have to do. Correct. Team SkillUpRight.
Yeah, yeah.
What should they do if they
So,
have internet?
simple thing what they can do, with the option for all the participants on the top, they'll have a reconnect button. So they just have to click on that. Automatically, the page will refresh itself, and it'll be joining back again. Whether it'll be
Okay,
an issue with audio or with the slides, with the screen, both it will be resolving.
okay. So that's great.
Yeah.
All
So
right, team, and let's get started
yeah, there
now.
are. If you go to the chat, there are people are answering your questions.
Yeah, correct. All right. So, team, test between the extreme boundaries, testing between extreme ends. All right. So, I appreciate all your definitions, but I have also saw people have written for equivalence class partitioning, right? Um, Okay. Some of them say like, I can include even a blank, test data. Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. As long as whatever the condition that you think, which are, important for this particular requirement, you can very well do that. This is just an example for you to understand. All right, great. So what is BVA, team? The BVA is about like, boundary value analysis, right? So there are multiple definitions that keeps coming in, and I would say the same definition. A large set of possibilities will be divided into different classes. But only thing is going to be by adding one and subtract, adding one and subtracting uh, one from the boundary. I'm sorry about the spelling mistake, Tim, which I'm not focusing on now. By adding one and subtracting one from the boundary. All right. So that is what about the boundary value analysis. Let's pick up the same salary example. All right. So this is the requirement team. There is a salary field, and the text box should accept 10,000 to 15,000. Now, what are the classes that you can derive for this requirement if you are following the boundary value analysis technique? We need to first derive the classes, correct? The classes that I'm going to derive is like lower boundary. And I'm going to create another class which is called on the boundary, and I'm going to have another class called upper boundary, right? So when it comes about in a lower boundary, and the lower boundary value is 10,000, right? And of 10,000, if I need to add one and subtract one, what would be the value? And this is going to be 10,001, and this is going to be a valid case, and this is going to be 9,999, and this is going to be invalid case. On the boundary, it's going to be exactly on the boundary, and for this requirement, both are going to be a valid test case. And similarly, for upper boundary, we'll have 15,000. And if I add one and subtract one, so I would say 15,001 and 14,999. And this is going to be a valid one, and this is going to be invalid one, right? In negative test case, right? So now, if you follow boundary value analysis technique for this requirement, totally we have to derive 6 different test cases, correct? Since we have identified 6 different test data, and totally we have to write 6 different test cases. Now, the requirement is too complex, or if the requirement is too important for the customer, what we can typically do is that we can even further have a deep dive into it, and we can club both BVA and ECP together, right? So in that case, we are completely testing the requirement little deeper, which we are going to test the requirement with all the deeper data, right? The depth of the data. So how about we convert the ECP into ECP plus BVA. Say for example, what I'm going to do is that while let's say I'm going to add combine ECP with the BVA, right? And all I need to do is that I'll just add my BVA test data to the ECP, right? And 9,999. And so here, what are the data? I have 10,000 and 10,001 and 15,000. I'm sorry about the typo error. And so in this range, what I would do is that I would write 10,000 and 10,001 and 15,000. Right. 14,999. And over here, I would just say 15,001. All right. So this is also possible, team. This is also possible to club your equivalence class partitioning with boundary value analysis if the requirement is very important. If the objective of testing is very important, or if you want to deep dive into the testing of a requirement, right? So at this point, we can even club both this technique. So that is about the equivalence class partitioning and BVA. Now, let's get into decision table. All right. So, team, what do you think about decision table is about? Any idea? Heard about it? Any ideas about decision table? Any idea about decision table? Yes, no, no. All right, team. So let me ask you one question, okay? And now, when will you use equivalence class partitioning or the boundary value analysis? So very simple question for us to understand, right? So when will you use BVA or ECP? At what point will you be using that technique? Like say for example, I'm going to give you a huge set of document which is containing a lot of requirements. Now, how will you pick up this is the technique, I mean this is the requirement that needs to be tested with ECP or BVA, combination of input and output. All right, okay, so is that what you're saying? All possible combination inputs put into table and the perspective. All right, team, and the range is given to an input field if the given range is provided. All right, wonderful, team. And most of you have said the range, correct? That's a keyword what many of you have said. When you want to test a range, all right, of a data, then we obviously go for ECP or BV, right? What if the requirement does not contain any range? What if the requirement contains a set of rules, and at that point of time, ECP and BVA cannot be used, correct? Say for example, if you ask me a sample requirement, and let's say I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a requirement saying, example saying, this is my requirement, okay? This is my requirement. Decision table. All right. So this is my requirement. Can you implement ECP and BVA for this requirement? If you can think of implementing an ECP and BVA, say yes. Otherwise, say no in the chat box. So let me open the requirement for you. So this is my requirement. The requirement is if the student has 80% attendance, has attended 3 internal tests with the average of 10 or more marks, and or has attended 2 internal tests with an average of 15 or more marks, and has taken up the external examination and scored more than 35, then the student can be considered as pass, else fail. That's the requirement. Now, team, can you think of implementing ECP or BVA for this requirement? Which is not possible, correct? Because this is not a range of data that has been given. And if you look at the requirement is condition based, right? So at this point of time, what you have to do is that you have to use a technique called decision table. All right, here ECP and BVA will not work out. Is that clear to you? Okay, all right, so not possible. No, all right, that's great, team. And now let's see how to implement decision table technique. Okay, now the first step that you have to do is that for deriving decision table, I'm going to say step 1. Please make a note of it, team. Please make a note of it. Step 1 is to identify the conditions. All right. Step 2, identify the actions. Step 3, identify the total number of rules. Okay, here the rules are nothing but the combinations. Step 4, fill in every rule with true or false. Right? So that's what we need to do, team. And let's see how to do this. Now, first, let me open Excel sheet and to do this. So I'll also take this requirement. All right. So now, what is the first step? That I've said. First, you need to identify the condition for this. Correct. So steps to derive. Identify the conditions. So, team, how many conditions we have here? For this requirement, how many conditions are there? How many conditions, team? How many conditions you think? 4, 5, 4. All right. I don't know. I don't have a standard number in my mind, but let's see how many conditions we have. All right. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say condition 1 and condition 2. So let's see what I think. Condition 1, I'm going to say the student has 80% attendance. So this is going to be my the student has 80% attendance. This is condition 1. Condition 2, I'm going to say attended 3 internal tests with an average of 10 or more marks. Okay, great. Now condition 3. All right, so there are 4 conditions, team. Okay, so there are 4 conditions that we have derived. I can even further chunk it down into more than 4 conditions. I can even say taken up the external examination as 1 condition. And I can say this as condition 5. Maybe some of you have said 5. Technically, that is also feasible, but I'm just gonna to simplify this. I'm gonna make it as 4 conditions. That's it. Taken up the external examination and scored more than 35. Wonderful. All right. So now what we will do is that the next step, what we have to do is identify the actions. How many actions we have here? We have 2 actions, right? I have action 1, pass, or an action 2, fail, right? And identify the total number of rules, right? So now what we are going to do is that, team, and I'm just going to say identify the total number of rules. So first thing, in my Excel sheet, I'll say condition 1 and condition 2 and condition 3 and condition 4. I have 4 conditions here, and now I need to identify the total combinations to test. So the formula for testing the total combination would be 2 to the power of how many conditions? 4. So 2 to the power of 4 and is equal to. So team, I'm very poor in mathematics. Just assume that I'm very poor in mathematics, and what would be the answer? 2 to the power of 4. What would be the total combination in that case? 16. All right. So we have 16 as a number, right? So this is the formula, team. Okay, this is the formula to derive the total combination, and 2 represents your 2 actions, and to the power of is 16 is nothing but 16 is nothing but sorry, the 4 is nothing but the conditions. So I have 4 conditions here, and 2 actions. So 2 to the power of 4 is equal to 16. So totally I have 16 combinations to test. So now if you look at it in the Excel sheet, what I have to do is that I just need to make R1, R2, R3, and so on. So I have totally 16 combinations, right? I have totally 16 combinations. Now, what I need to do is that, the next step, the step 4, fill in every rule with true or false. So what I would do is that, I'll fill in every rule with true or false. Say for example, when this condition gets satisfied, when this condition gets satisfied, when this gets satisfied, when this gets satisfied. Team, just give me 1 minute time, please. Just give me 1 minute time. I'm sorry about it. Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, Sarvana, we are able to hear you. Hello, Sarvana, can you hear me? Sarvana, we are able to hear you. Now, no, earlier we were able to hear you. I think now we are not able to hear Sarvana. I hope you are connected with the mobile.
Hey, it's the same one. Yeah, I have connected with the
Yes,
mobile.
now it is
Correct.
audible. Now it is audible.
Okay, that's great. So then, which means you missed the the rule 2, correct?
Yeah, I think we missed this one.
Okay. And all right, team, and I'll again walk you through with this. I'm sorry about the internet connection issues that we are facing, and but it happens. All right. So rule 2, and I'll give you one example about the rule 2. Okay, and say for example, uh, condition 1, which is if the student has 80% attendance, right? Let me also write down the conditions that we have derived, right? So when this is true, when This is true, and condition 2 is true. Tim, please tell me one thing. When you are testing the condition 2 requirement, is that needed for you to test condition 3? Do you have to focus on condition 3? Yes or no? What do you think, Tim? Hope you got what I'm asking. When you are testing for condition 1, when you are testing for condition 2, what is condition 2? Attended 3 internal tests with an average of 10 or more marks. You're testing the condition 2. So do you need to focus on condition 3 when you are already testing condition 2? What do you think? No? Yes. Do you have to focus on condition 2 on the same rule? This is what my question. What do you think, team? Yes, yes, no? So no is the right answer, correct? Because we are testing, how will the application look like? You will have one text box for, let's say, I will even draw that one, how it would look like. So the application would look something like this, correct? The application would look something like this. And one is for attendance, one is for number of internal tests, one is for, average of internal test, one is for, external, one is for external exam, and another one will be the submit button, correct? So when you are entering, when you are entering number, 3 here, say for example, you are entering number 3, and so what you're doing is, team, and you're entering number 3 here, correct? And which means you're testing the condition 2. So you don't have to test the condition 3 again, right? When you're entering the number 3 as an internal test and average is like 10 or more marks, and you don't need to test this one, correct? So then in that case, this will be don't care symbol. And then condition 4. So what is condition 4? Taken up the external examination and scored more than 35. So this will become true. When this becomes true, again, your A1, which is nothing but pass, will become true, correct? Now here what I do, I make this as false, but I make this is true. Technically this is don't care symbol and this is true. And this will become true, correct? This will be fail, right? Since we are making the condition 1 as fail. So what is condition 1? Condition 1, the student have not attended 80% of the class. So which means the candidate should be fail, right? So in that case, A2 action will become true. And so on. If you put all the true or false combination, and you will get totally 16 combinations, team. Now, every combination, which means every rule, will act as one test case. Is that clear? Is that clear? Any questions, team? Any questions? Any questions you have? No. All right, team. Wonderful. I see a lot of notes. What all combinations will be filled in the Excel sheet? Since we have or conditions in the rule 2 and 3. Correct. So we have or conditions. You could test either condition 2 or condition 3. Uh, you know, you could either focus this or this. If any one of this becomes true, in that case, it will become pass. Otherwise, it will become fail. Right. So this is the or condition. Yeah, correct. Any one of this condition has to become true. That's what the concept. That's what the requirement is about. Right. Now, if you totally fill in, and the complete list would become something like this. So, there may be some typo error, within this, diagram, but forget about it. Now, every rule will act as one test case. You have to, write a test case for every rule, right? Team, open to your question. Please show how to fill other rule. All right, and all right, I'll walk you through on this. Now, let me pick up. Let me pick up. Rule 4. Let's say I'm making this true this time, and I'm making this true, and I'm making this as don't care symbol, and I make this false. In that case, my action 2, which is fail, will become true, right? Okay, and if you ask me to write another thing, I would say this is true, and this is false, and this is don't care symbol, and this is true. Again, this will become true. All right. So now and so on. If you write, the complete set of rules that you will get here is 16, which means if you write 16 test cases, more than enough to test this particular requirement. That's what it is, team. Right, team. So any questions you have, any further questions you have, please let me. Do you have any questions on this? Or 5 can become pass if x is equal to 3. Of course, correct. Yeah, I can even write that. I can even do that. That's also possible. If I write true here, and this can become true. Correct. Right, team. So, team, in the interest of time, please let me know if you have any questions. I can show you that, complete set of a rule table. This is the complete set of decision table. All right. So we have put X here, which is don't care symbol, which means if I'm testing this, I don't have to test this. Technically, either this or this should become true to test the requirement, correct? Both are not needed to test. Am I right? Ghulam Mustafa, see. Again, team, either this or this has to be tested, not both, correct? So that's why I say don't care symbol on this, which means we are ignoring this since we are testing this particular portion, this particular condition, right? Okay, wonderful, team, and please let me know if you have any further questions on this. What if developer forgot that condition? So which condition you are saying, Ghulam? See, if the developer forgets that condition, it's a tester's duty to find out that and report back to the developer. Right? And now, what we will do is that we'll focus on the next item, which is uh, you know state transition testing. So very simple thing. So what is state transition testing? The state transition testing. Okay. Um, so what is that? State transition testing is when you're saying state transition testing, and this is used to uh, state transition testing is used to test is used to create a test case in such a way that all states are visited at least once, all events are triggered at least once, and all paths are tested at least once. So what is state transition testing technique is? This is basically used to test whether all events are tested or not, all paths are tested or not, and all states are tested or not. So technically, this is to test all the path, all the independent paths, which are meant, and it is to test all the state and all the events, right? So that is what about state transition testing. It's basically testing the requirement on a different routes, right? So different path. Now, so what is state transition testing? State transition testing, state is represented by circle, transition is represented by an arrow, event is represented by a label on the transition, right? So that's the starting state to ending state. Various transition and routes are represented in the form of state transition diagram. And what we have to do is that we have to create test case in such a way that all the states are visited at least once, and all the events are triggered at least once, and all the paths are executed at least once. So that's what state transition testing is about. Now, so this is the requirement. An employee of this is the sample. Okay, this is the sample uh, requirement for walking through on state transition testing, right? So let's see if the requirement of is something like this. An employee can raise a request for a leave. If he is eligible for a leave, then the application is sent for the manager for approval. Manager will validate and approve, or the manager will reject it, right? So that is what the requirement is about. Now if you have to identify all this independent path for this requirement, and you have to draw the diagram, correct? You can identify all the path with the help of this diagram. So the first step, what we have to do is that we have to either get the diagram or we have to prepare the diagram. If you look at the diagram, employee requires a leave, and then it goes to the HR page, and then it goes to the manager page, and then it goes to approved, or it goes to rejected, right? So the path to test this would be from employee to HR, which is 1 2, and from HR it can be rejected. 1 2 5 is one path, and then employee, HR, manager may reject it. So 1 2 3 5 is another path, and or manager may approve it. So in that case, it will become 1 2 3 4. So there are totally three paths. We have to test the application in all the three different path. Which is the flow. That is what about state transition testing. The ultimate goal of state transition testing is not to test any independent or individual functionalities like OK button, text box, checkbox, nothing. So our goal of state transition testing is to check if the application flows in a particular path, or if the application works in the particular flow. That's it. So that's the only goal of state transition testing. Question for you, team, and question for you now. let's assume that we have Tim, can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right. So now, yeah, fantastic. Yes. All right. So now, team, if let's say this is the requirement, okay? The requirement is to log in, home, and then from home page, let's take up a Gmail application. Team, just give me 5 to 8 minutes exactly. I'll close the session. And now, login. From login, we navigate to home page. From home page, we navigate to inbox, and from inbox, we navigate to sign out. Or from login, we navigate to homepage. From homepage, we navigate to outbox, or from outbox, we navigate to sign out. So that's a requirement, say for example. So how many paths you think we need to test the application? How many paths can you identify to test this particular requirement? What is the total number of paths to test this requirement, team? This is a requirement, right? So what is the total number of independent paths that we have to test? Five, 2. All right. And now, if you look at it, uh, one, one is nothing but like I've even numbered it, and 1, 2. It goes to 1, 2, 3, and then 3 to 4, and then 5. Right. So that's one path. And then from 1 to 5, from home page, it can navigate to sign on. Or from 1, 2, 4, 5. That's also possible. So and so on. If you try to identify all the different paths, altogether you will get 7 paths. All right. So you can still find out more, and but totally 7 paths is sufficient to test this particular requirement. So that's what state transition testing is about. All right. So now, that is about the state transition testing. But what if you want to test the requirement something like this? Say for example, and now, so team, just give me 5 minutes time. I'll wrap up this session. Now, if you want to test this requirement, say for example, I want to test the font. I want to test the font with multiple styles, and I want to test the style with multiple sizes, and I want to test the size with multiple colors, and I want to test multiple colors with multiple underline style, and multiple underline style should come with multiple underline color, right? So that's the requirement. Now, how much time would you need to test this kind of requirements? So which is very difficult to test, correct? Because the reason is like the options are too many in number, right? There are too many options to test. Number one, and so if you want to test this kind of combinations of data, all right, we can go for all pairs. If you want to test the combinations of data or options, okay, we can go for all pairs. So team, it's very simple, and I'll show you how it works. Now let me ask you a question, team. We have ECP and BVA. We use this technique for testing the range of data, correct? And then we use a decision table for what? When will you use decision table? Okay, wonderful. So when there are set of rules and conditions involved, then we use decision table, right? And when will you use state transition testing? When will you use state transition testing? Okay, wonderful. There are rules and conditions, then you use state, decision table. But when will you use state transition testing? To check the flow of the system, right? So to check the flow of the system, or to test the path, or you know or events. All right, so in that case we use state transition testing. So the last the final one, which I'm going to walk you through, is about all pays. So what is all pays? So this will be used when you want to test combinations of data, right? So multiple combinations. If you want to check of multiple combinations of data or options, then we go for all pays, right? So how will you do that? First step, you just need to Google and say download all pays tool. Okay, the all pays tool will be downloaded, and I've already downloaded the tool, which is a free tool. Oh, sorry. Yep. So I have the tool here. Okay, and this is the tool allpays.exe, which is very less in size, and it's hardly like one MB in size. That's it. So now after you download the allpays tool, and I have my source in the form of the notepad file. Okay, and this is my requirement. Now I have multiple combinations here. I have OS, and these are all the list of options under that particular component. I have OS, printer, and duplex. So under the OS I have 98, NT, and XP, and under the printer I have so on so options, and under the duplex I have so on so options. So now this is my list of options that can be populated when you open the application. All right, so when you open the page, now I cannot test all the combinations, right? So however, now since we cannot test all the combination, what we are going to do is that we are going to focus on only the important combinations, or the unique set of combinations. So for that, we are going to use a tool called allpays tool. So the step number one, what we have done is we have the source document kept in the place. Now the next step, what we have to do is that I'll just open a command prompt, and I'll say I'll just type this command. Okay, all pays. My source document file name is source.txt. Greater than symbol, I'll say let's say SkillUpRight.xls. That's it. So now if you go to that location, and you will see the Excel sheet, and just open the Excel sheet, and now we have something called pairing details at the bottom. Just delete that, which is not needed for us. And now we have pairings column. Just delete that as well, which is not needed for us, right? So now if you look at a team, out of the 12 combinations, all the 12 combinations, the tool has suggested these are all the 6 important combinations to test, right? So among this, whichever combination that you want to test is up to you. It's not that you have to write test case for all the combination. You can pick up all the unique set of combination that you think that you want to test as part of your test case, right? So but the tool suggests that these are all these 6 important combinations that you can include in your test, right? So that's what is about the all pace tool, right? Now team, what we have done, we have seen the 4 different techniques, right? ECP and BVA, which is to test the range of data. Decision table, which is to test the rules and conditions. State transition testing is to test the path or the flow, and all pace tool is to test the different multiple combinations, right? Combinations of data or the options, right? So based on the objective of a test, what you have to do is that you have to pick up the appropriate test design technique and implement as part of your testing, right? So any questions, team? I'm done for today, and any question, please let me know. Team SkillUpRight, can you hear me? Is there anyone from SkillUpRight?
Yeah, Saravana, tell me.
Hey, I'm done. I'm done for today, and
Yeah, Saravana. Thank you. Yeah.
so team, please let me know if you have any questions, and I'm done for today. And so this is very biggest, it's in fact a very biggest concept, right? About test design technique, and there are a lot of things to walk you through, but just doing that in 1 hour is a very great thing. We have done a great job, and in fact we have done a fantastic job. There were some network issue here and there, but we have managed it well, and we are done with the session with a good note. I'm very happy about it, and see you soon, see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Yes, Saravana. Thank you. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. Hey, you're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just call me after.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Bye then. Bye for now.
Bye.
Team,
Bye.
bye for now. See you tomorrow.